Hello everybody and welcome to my guide on how to unlock the Simulacrum as well as some tips for how to farm Cephalon Simaris rep. Now you may be asking, what is the Simulacrum and why should I care about it? The Simulacrum is a testing ground where you can try out different weapons, warframes, and builds without fear of judgment, as this is a solo area. And in order to unlock it, you do need to farm up enough Cephalon Simaris reputation points to get the key to unlock it. So first, let's go take a look at the actual Simulacrum and what it looks like, and then we're going to cover how to unlock it, important information you need to know about Simaris, and then we're going to cover some different ways that you can farm that reputation up fast. First of all, the easiest way to get to Cephalon Simaris is we are going to come over to our little reputation console. It says syndicates, but I just call it reputation. We're going to click on that. We're going to go to this miscellaneous tab all the way at the back. We're going to click on Simaris, and then we're just going to click Visit Cephalon Simaris. This eliminates having to remember which relay that he is at and having to select an instance. It just auto-launches us there. Now, once we are loaded in, to access the Simulacrum, we are just going to turn immediately to our left, and it is actually this little glowy orb right over here that says Simulacrum. Now, if you don't have any other Simulacrums unlocked, the only one you're going to have access to is the Citadel, which is the basic Simulacrum. Now, I have a few other fancy types from reputations, from syndicates, and Nightwave that I have been working on acquiring, but we're going to load into the basic one so you can see what it looks like. So this is what the Citadel Simulacrum looks like on the inside. It is basically this big open space. Now, in order to spawn in enemies, you would select this console here, and here you'll see that some groups are locked. You have to fully scan an enemy to unlock it, although there are basic battle groups that it comes with. So for example, we're just going to load in this Draenir battle group. And then there's some options over here that I do want to show you. There is one for Steel Path if you want the enemies to be above 100 level. There is Friendly Fire, which allows your companion to basically attack you. There's Companion Invincibility. There's invincibility, which means that, for an example, if you're testing something in Steel Path, you won't die. And then there's my favorite, which is Pause AI. And then there's also enemy level. You can increase this level. It does scale with your master rank. So, for example, I can scale the enemies all the way up to 125. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to select Pause AI and enemy level 40. And then as you can see, it spawns in some groups of enemies. And then here on the floor, we've got health orbs, energy orbs, and ammo. It does fully fill up your resources in here. And then I'm just going to quickly show you. Now, I do advise that if you are testing something, you may want to unequip your companion, or your companion's going to kill everything for you instead. And then I have a lot of things to test, so I'm actually going to test the resistant festive weapon I leveled. Yes, this one here. We're going to go test this. And sometimes I just like to, level weapons and Sanctuary Onslaught, Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, and I'm not sure if I want to keep them. So I make a list of the weapons that I have, that I want to test, and then I see if I like the action of those weapons, because not every weapon is for everybody. So here we're going to use this, and it looks like it just fires some kind of tentacle beams. Now, I didn't find this weapon particularly effective when I was leveling it. Now, do bear in mind that I like to test these without mods, but I'm just not sure about the action because it looks like it's very low. So I'm just not sure that this is the weapon for me, and that's fine. And we'll just show one more just for the purpose of this video. So that was one weapon that I wanted to test, and then I also had, where is it at? I have this weapon here. We'll go over to this pack of enemies this time. And the nice thing about the paused enemies is you can really focus on the action of the weapon without any pressure. So this looks like it just fires automatically. I don't think it has any different fire rate. And it's okay, but I don't know that I like it all that much. So yeah, that's basically what the Simulacrum is about. And then next, let's take a look at what we need to do in order to unlock the Simulacrum. So first, we are going to go over to the vendor here. We're going to walk right by Simaris. Now, this little blue orb here is his vendor offerings. Now, a couple of important things to note is that there's these synthesis scanners and kinetic siphon traps that you can get for credits. You do need to have both of these items, and you do need to put them on your gear wheel in the arsenal before starting any captures where you're going to, hunt the targets, and then you're going to use the trap on them in order to scan them. A couple of other things that are important are these widgets. Now, as you can see, I don't necessarily have all of them unlocked, but these are very important to get, and you should probably focus on these widgets first before anything else, just for efficiency. So here we've got the vector thread widget. This reduces the time required to scan a target with the synthesis scanner. That's really important because that way the target, you might only have to use one trap instead of a couple in order to fully scan that target. And also, if you prefer the scanning method of being on a stealth Warframe and scanning enemies instead of just doing the quest every day, this makes this a lot more efficient for you. There's also a soul battery widget, which it recharges synthesis scanner charges, which is really useful. That way you get more out of them. And then there's this cross matrix widget. This one is really important. I would probably focus on this in the vector to start off with. This has the chance for each scan with the synthesis scanner to count as 2 scans. And a lot of the scanning that you'll be doing is also to get Kavat genes to unlock Kavats later on, if that's something that you're interested in. And this widget here, the cross matrix widget, that's really useful for that purpose. Now, the last one is the data parse widget. Synthesis scanner will now show target enemy weaknesses and resistances. Not really that useful. Like I said, just focus on the cross matrix one and the vector thread one. Those are going to be your 2 best ones for efficiency. Now down here, we've got the Simulacrum access key. Now, as you can see, this does cost 50,000 reputation points. It may sound like a lot, but you actually get these pretty quickly because doing the quest, you have to skate at least, usually between 3 and 5 targets. And you're usually getting, a decent amount of reputation points each plus the quest hand-in. So this should only take you maybe 3 days at most if you're really unlucky. If you're really lucky, this should only take you about 2 days. Now, if you're out there and you're farming, not only with the quest, but just with the stealth Warframe scanning, it'll probably take you even less time. And then real quick, let's just go over a few of the other things that he has to offer that you might be interested in. Now, there is energy conversion mod. This one is really popular and might be something you'd like to aim for in the future. There's also this health conversion one, really useful for survivability. And then, as you can see, if you want to, really work on some videos, and this is something I need to work on unlocking, there's this nice green screen that you can get for capture mode. There is games you can get to play in your orbiter or your base of operations. If, like me, you vendored some Warframes before the helmet came out because you've been playing for a long time off and on, here you can buy back the blueprints to create those Warframes, like the ones that you did quests for, so that way you can build them and feed them to the helmet. And you can also buy back your Umbra mods if you happen to vendor them and misplace them. And then there's also special items for like quest weapons that have dropped. So if you happen to have sold a quest weapon and you need to get it back, you can get those. And yeah, that's basically it. There's a few other things in here, but that is the important thing. So like I said, the Simulacrum key should take you 3 days at most, or just 2 if you're really lucky and determined. And of course, you do want to focus on these widgets. And then last, to recap, you need these synthesis scanners and these kinetic siphon traps, and you do need to have them on your gear wheel. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is how we are going to activate that daily quest. You have to walk up to Simaris. He is that big floaty yellow entity up in the ceiling there. Now, don't run all the way up to directly underneath him or he won't come down to talk. You basically have to approach this really slowly in order to get the interaction button. And if you're still not seeing it, then you have to kind of back up. It's a little finicky. As you can see, I'm not getting a talk interaction and he keeps backing up. Of course, this happens when we're doing the video. Yeah, I love Simaris so much. I wish he was a little less finicky when he interacts. So you can see he's like, knowledge must be earned, Tenno. Maybe he'll let us talk to him. We have to back up even more. You know, there we go. There's our talk sign. So as you can see, he's really finicky and you're gonna have to walk back and forth to get this talk sign to pop up. Maybe it's a little easier for in console, I don't know. So anyway, here we've got some options. Now the one that we want is going to be the first one. Do you have any targets? But first I'm going to show you the other options. There's teach me how to perform synthesis. It tells you about that. There's I want to do sanctuary onslaught. You can do this from navigation. You don't need to be in Simaris' room to do that. And then lastly, there's trade medallions for sanctuary standing. So if you get an item called a universal medallion, you can hand that in for Simaris rep. But personally, I don't feel that it's that needed. But if it's something that works for you, you can do that. So we've got here you have targets, and then basically it'll show you the synthesis target. The rewards you get for doing all 4 of them is an additional 10,000 standing, but you get standing per target as well. Now I actually have some pre-recorded footage of myself doing some of these quests for the synthesis targets, which I'm going to show you next. And then I'm also going to include a link in this video to the guide on Steam. Oh look, someone bestowed a blessing on us, how nice. There is a guide on Steam that's really useful. And in this guide, it is written by a user named Evil Flora, and this is a really excellent guide, and I'm going to insert a short video clip here showing you some information about it. But basically, what they did is they compiled a complete list of the synthesis targets and then where they spawn at, as well as the best missions to get each target there. And basically this guide that they wrote is really great. So if you do need information about these targets, just check out their guide, maybe give them a like on Steam. Really excellent guide that they did. As you can see in this clip that I included of hunting the Cephalon Simaris target that I had already recorded, when you load into a mission, if the target is there, you will hear Simaris telling you that there is indeed a target in this mission. And you can also track where the target is located by getting out your synthesis scanner. There will be a trail of the sparkly little cube points pointing to which way it is. In my experience, most of the time, the Simaris target is after you have captured the target or rescued whatever the mission objective is. It's usually beyond that. Very rarely is the target in the beginning of the mission. And then as you can see, I'm just tracking the target. I'm putting down a kinetic siphon trap, and then we are scanning this target. And you have to scan, there's multiple body points. I think it's like 4 body points or so that you have to scan. And once the target is successfully scanned, it will explode into the little cubic shapes. And then as you see, we get reputation points for capturing this target. Now, I find this most efficient to run these missions solo. However, if you have friends you play with, you can run with friends. If you feel really brave, you can do these in public missions and hope that nobody extracts before you get the target. And usually if you're just running these capture missions just for a synthesis target specifically for a daily, chances are there is usually other people there as well trying to do the same daily, so you might run into them. And as you can see, this target that we got here was worth 3,675 points, which isn't bad. If we do that times 4, that's like over 12,000 points, plus the 10,000 that we're going to get from handing this daily quest in. So that's like 20,000 reputation points total. Now, the other way of doing the reputation for Simaris is to use a stealth Warframe and then go to a planet that's fairly decent target level and then just scanning targets while invisible. So my favorite to use for this is actually going to be Loki. Now I don't play stealth frames a lot, as you can see. I do not have, oh no wait, there he is. Loki is in my favorites. He's really easy because you just press his ability and it turns him invisible. But besides Loki, some of the other invisible options, if I really wanted to, you can do this on your Octavia, but you have to be invisible with bobbing up and down to the beat to get invisible, and the rollable may kill the enemies before you're able to get invisible, so I probably wouldn't recommend that. There is also Ivara with the invisibility arrow quiver. She's a good option as well. And then other invisible frames, that might be the only ones that come to mind. I'm sure that there is other ones, but to be fair, I don't really do invisible. I am a big fan of when Ordis says nothing can sound alarms if it's dead. So anyway, we're going to equip Loki. We're going to go to a mission, and also it is important that you have your companion unequipped. My Sable Kavat here is very bitey and likes to bite enemies otherwise. Now you can use a stealth companion. Shade Prime is the stealth one, so if you have this companion, it stealths with you, but otherwise I would just advise unequipping your companion so you don't risk the companion taking the enemies out before you can. So as you can see, the second method here is the stealth method, and honestly I'm not very good at it because I don't spend most of my time on stealth warframes. So as you can see, we're getting about a little over 200 points per unit from the stealth scan, but as soon as the stealth is broken, it goes down to like 74 points, which is pretty low. And as you can see, it's really difficult to regain total stealth mode. It probably doesn't help that I didn't bring stealth weapons with me on that mission, but like I said before, I'm a big fan of when Ordis says, nothing can sound alarms if it's dead. So the stealth mission personally just isn't my favorite for me, but if you are a stealthy kind of person, maybe it'll work better for you. Hopefully it will. And as you can see, when I went to exit the mission, I got about 17,000 rep points even with the broken stealth, and my maximum cap for the day is about 25,000 currently, so that's really not bad, although I did spend quite a long time in the mission because I'm just bad at stealth. Yeah, but like I said, hopefully if you're good at stealth, this method might work for you. That's it for this video guide on how to unlock the Simulacrum, as well as my tips on Cephalon Simaris reputation. I hope this information helped you. We're going to end this video today with a lovely view of all of the floofs in the front of my orbiter, because floofs are love and life. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.